Hello everyone, welcome back. In the previous video, we learned how to update an existing resource using a put request. Today, we're going to learn how to delete an existing resource using a delete request in Postman. We'll use the free JSONPlaceholder API, send a delete request, examine the response, and understand what validations we should perform after deleting a resource. Let's get started. Create a new request inside your collection. I'll name this request delete user. Now change the request method to delete. Enter the endpoint, https jsonplaceholder.typicode.com/users/1. Notice the 1 at the end of the URL. This is the resource ID. Delete request also needs to know exactly which resource should be affected. That's why we include the resource ID in the URL. Without it, the API wouldn't know which record should be deleted. Unlike post and put requests, a delete request usually doesn't require a request body. The resource ID in the URL is enough for the API to identify which record should be removed. Some APIs may accept additional information in the request body, but in most REST APIs, including this example, we don't need to send any request payload. Everything is ready. Click Send. Postman sends the delete request to the API. The API receives the request, identifies the resource using the ID in the URL, processes the deletion, and returns a response. Let's look at the response. The API returns a 200 OK status with an empty JSON object as the response body, indicating that the delete request was processed successfully. Since we're using JSONPlaceholder, the deletion is only simulated. The API behaves as though the user was deleted, but no actual data is permanently removed from the server. It's also worth noting that many real-world REST APIs return 204 no content after a successful delete request, because there's no response body to send back. However, 200 OK is equally valid when the API chooses to include a response body, even if it's just an empty JSON object. That's why JSONPlaceholder responds with 200 OK and empty JSON object instead of 204 no content. After sending a delete request, we should validate several things. First, verify that the state is code. Next, check that the response body is empty. Review the response time. Verify any required response headers. And finally, make sure the request was sent to the correct resource ID in the URL. These validations help confirm that the delete request was processed successfully. Now let's save this request. Click Save. The request is now stored in your collection, so you can run it again whenever you need it. And that's how you delete an existing resource using a delete request in Postman. Today, we learned how to create a delete request, why the resource ID is required in the URL, how to send the request, and how to verify that the request was successful. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.